All right, how's it going, y'all? Hello from my Xebex Tri-Screen 2, which just arrived yesterday, and I've been using it for work today, and I'm now using it for after-work streaming. So I'm going to give you my thoughts, and we're going to go through 3 steps here. First of all, do I recommend it? Why or why not? 2 is 6 tips that I have if you're going to use it, and 3 is we're going to compare it to a competitor called the Trio. So why did I originally buy this thing? Was it the sick $30 off that enticed me? No, not really. I guess that's nice. But what really got me was this claim about 44% productivity boost. I believe this is a general claim about having 3 monitors. I don't think this is like a special claim about Xebex. Still, if I can get that boost, that's huge. My time is extremely valuable, so even less than that would still be hugely valuable to me. You have your normal monitor, you can see in the picture here, and then you'll have these 2 flyouts, and that is the Xebex tripod or Tri-Screen 2. So it's called a tri-screen, but they are giving you 2 additional screens, and that's in addition to your monitor for a total of 3. That's why it's a tri-screen. Another thing that I thought was interesting here, so that was the main thing. Another thing that I thought was interesting is that it works with any laptop it claims. So I have a large MacBook Pro that I use for work, and then I have a small, I love it, my little 13-inch MacBook Air. That is my personal. And I wanted something that'll work on both. So this Xebex has sort of an elastic band. Yeah, just to give away the answer, it works fine on both. All right, so let's get into the 6 tips. So first of all, for work setups. So we want to get 44% productivity. Where's that going to come from? What I found is that having my email in one window and then having my Slack in the other window was a really good setup, and then I could focus on the work in front of me. Compare that to the situation where I use my laptop and I'm at a coffee shop and I'm frequently clicking over to Slack so that I can stay up to date. I saved time by not having to do that. Checking the contrast and the nits is a big tip that I have. So when I first strapped this thing on, I noticed 2 things. I noticed 3 things. First of all, I had to restart the computer because both screens did not immediately work. When I restarted and I just connected them to my MacBook 2, all I had to do was restart and they worked. No driver install, nothing like that. So that's the first thing I noticed. The second thing I noticed is that the 2 monitors shipped with different contrast and brightness settings, even from each other, let alone from my main computer. So balancing those was pretty important. And it's not just important for like consistency, but it's actually important for usability. So my laptop screen would get like really bright, and the Xebex screens are less bright. And so I actually had trouble reading the screens or like seeing what was on my Slack screen, putting my eyes back and forth because of 2 things, because of the zoom difference and the light difference. So that's what these 2, really these 3 tips are about. So the first tip is, restart your computer and make sure that you create consistent settings because they may not ship that way. 2 is that I found that zooming in 50% on my Gmail and my Slack, that was kind of the right number for me. Combining that with balancing the nits or the brightness, and it became much more usable, I noticed. And so specifically, how did I balance the nits? I went 3 notches, I'm calling them. I don't know if that's the same as 30% or maybe 15%. On my MacBook Pro, I went 3 notches from max, 3 back. And then on the Xebex, I did 95% brightness. In theory, I guess you could go 100% brightness. Part of me is like, I don't want to max out the settings because I don't want to push it too hard or overheat it or something. So I went for 95% brightness, and that was pretty even on the brightness when I went back 3 notches on my laptop. And then I could scan from my email to my Slack to my VS Code or whatever. And my eyes adjusted like seamlessly if I did it that way. For streaming, okay, and so what am I doing right now? How am I getting value out of this right now? I have my streaming utilities off to the side. So that would be OBS, that would be the stream chat, and also my personal things like my Gmail is open over there. And that doesn't get cast onto my stream. This calls out another benefit of a setup like this. It is more than just productivity. That's like a kind of like a security benefit, like a privacy benefit, right? So that 44% productivity boost is like super attractive, big if true. But there are other benefits besides that. And then tip 6 is on this M1 Air, it seems that I do need the adapter. And so I'm only using one of my Xebex screens right now. And so this was kind of I think a communication failure basically on the website. So I wasn't really sure if I needed the adapter. And let me tell you where that confusion came from, if I can find it. Basically, there's a screen that's like, hey, do you have 2 USB-C ports? If the answer is yes, then you don't need this adapter. Yeah, this one. So /pages video port resources. It's like, what is the adapter? What does it do? And you see in that picture right there, it seems like maybe the adapter is a USB adapter, which it is, but it's not only that, because there's a USB adapter and then there is also a USB to USB-C like additional adapter that it ships with basically. So let me show you this thing. Oh, this is like hats and stuff. Yeah, so here's the adapter. So when you look at it, it looks like it's a USB adapter, which it is. Here you can see there is a monitor to USB adapter and then a USB to USB-C like second step adapter that ships with it. And if you read through here, enables you to connect any laptop with just a single cable, including the M1 and M2, MacBook Pro and Air. And so I'm like, okay, it could save me a port is what I'm thinking. But I have 2 ports. I don't actually need it is what I'm thinking, because I have 2 USB-C ports on this Air. It says plug one end of the adapter into any standard USB port on your laptop and plug the other into the tri-screen. And now you can see why I'm really confused, because the Air doesn't have a standard USB port. It just doesn't have one. And so then I'm thinking, oh, like maybe this is like a different Air, like maybe different Airs have different ports or something. I don't know. Based on the fact that only one screen is working now, even though I have both plugged into the USB-C, and I tried restarting it and I tried all these things, I think I ultimately do need the adapter. So this tip 6 is just saving you some time, basically. Here's another thing I thought was weird. They're plugging both of the monitor cables into one of the Xebex wing, which seems weird to me. They're supposed to go on either side, like you see down here. So that's how it looks on my MacBook Pro. You just have one on either side. But doing the same on the M1 doesn't work for some reason. So that would be some of the confusion. And then the real nail in the coffin was here they're trying to clarify like when an adapter is needed and not. And this one seems pretty clear, right? If I used this sort of yellow chart, it would be pretty clear that, hey, I'm not using a MacBook Pro 14 or 16 in this case, so I need the adapter basically, right? Well, but if you scroll down and if you look at this one, it's not as clear because here it says 2 USB-C adapter required, no, and there's not an asterisk. This other case there's an asterisk, but my Air, it doesn't have an HDMI and it doesn't have a sort of regular USB. What is it? USB-A. So this top one is the case of my Air. It has 2 of the USB-C. So I'm thinking, okay, not needed. So anyway, that's just to sum up like why I was a little confused on that point. And so that's a tip for you, is if you're a little confused on that point, and if you have the MacBook Air, go ahead and get the adapter. Okay. let me jump to the, do I recommend it overall, and do I think it's 44% or not? So I do recommend this, but I don't think for me, I'm getting 44% productivity boost out of it. I could be wrong. That's sort of a subjective feeling, but I think I'm sort of in the 10, 20, 30 range. But that's still more than enough for me. That's going to vary depending on your person and your situation, but I'm like a multi six-figure software engineer. So if it was even 5%, that would be like well worth the investment. Great. And yeah, before I continue to the comparison versus the trio, if you're getting enjoyment out of this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I teach people to code, lots of software engineering related stuff. Yeah, and I help people learn to code and get coding jobs. Okay, great. So let's go to this trio. So I was telling some of my friends, hey, I got this thing. Like, have you used it? What do you think about it? And they said, oh, I like the trio. So I Googled the trio, and I can totally understand, like, maybe this is a better fit for some people. For me, if I'm understanding it correctly, and I haven't bought one and I haven't used it, so I might not be understanding it, but just sort of looking at it, I have basically 3 concerns with it. One is that it looks to me like you pick your size and it's not flexible across sizes. So it looks to me like I would need to get 2 of these if I wanted to support my MacBook Air and my MacBook Pro. And that's not ideal. I like the Xebex because it has the elastic band and I can get one tool to support multiple laptops, basically. That's the first negative. I mean, I think there's some positives. I think this one gets brighter. So I could be wrong about that, but I think that's a positive. What about the second negative? It appears that you need to like install magnetic adhesive, and I just worry about that, basically. Is it going to work? I have a bunch of laptop stickers on my laptop. Is that going to interfere with anything? Is the adhesive going to come off? Does that mean the screen is just going to fall off one day? So the Xebex does not use these magnetic adhesives. Does the magnets like mess with stuff? The Xebex, and also even if it doesn't mess with the laptop, if I'm carrying it in my backpack, which has other electronics in it, is it going to disturb those? So those are some of my concerns with the magnetic adhesive. There could be nothing wrong with it. It could just be in my head, but it's in my head. In contrast, the Xebex is just a clip system, and it has like an elastic band, and it sort of cinches itself, and that's about it. So yeah, that works for me. And the other thing, this is super minor, is the drivers. So let me see if I can Command F driver. So driver installation is required. I thought this would be a benefit and I wouldn't need to install drivers. It is the case that on my Mac Pro, I don't need to install any drivers. It does vary by computer though. So it turns out, it looks like for my Mac Air, I do need to install some drivers and I do need that additional adapter. Yeah, so I think on net, I still prefer the Xebex, but I would say it's a closer call in my situation. It should be an easier decision for someone that has 2 monitors. They would not need the adapter. They would not need to do the drivers. They just have 2 different laptops of different sizes and they both work without the adapter. That should make it an even easier decision for you. I should be actually facing the harder case, right? But I still prefer it. And I will keep an eye on this thing. I mean, this is called the Trio, which is the successor to something else called the Duo. So who knows? Maybe when the next generation comes around from mobile pixels, maybe they'll win the thing next time around. But as it stands, I'm very, very happy with the Xebex. And that concludes my review. Hope you got some value out of this. Thanks for tuning in.